Thank you. So our first speaker is Kyleigh LiPira. She comes to us from Washington, D.C. to be with us today, and she's the CEO of the Melanoma Research Foundation. We're very honored and appreciative of her being here, and she's going to tell you all about this amazing organization.
Well, thank you all so much for allowing us to be here. I was asking Paula earlier how many years we've been doing this, and it's been for over 10, at least, probably closer to 15. So it's great to see so many of you here and interested in learning more about, what's on the horizon, and you get that intimate access with your clinicians and other doctors, and I think it's wonderful. And you have a new rock star joining UNC, Dr. Laura Ferris, who I'm thrilled to introduce in a few minutes, but Dr. Ferris was on our board as of late and is now heading up the Department of Dermatology here at UNC. So you have a new rock star in your midst. I just wanted to spend a couple minutes giving you a little bit more information about the Melanoma Research Foundation and the resources we offer, who we are really. But before I do that, I really want to thank our sponsors. All of the programs we host around the country, in fact, we held our Seattle Symposium on Saturday, are fully funded by our corporate partners. So we're able to have you all come here and put on a nice event for you all at no cost. So we're very grateful for all of our support from our corporate partners, and many of them are here today too. So if you meet one of them, please thank them on the break. So I want to give a little bit of an overview of the foundation. We are 29 years old and we're based in Washington, D.C. I was telling my lunchmates the brutal commute I have every day into our nation's capital. But we were founded 29 years ago by a patient who was dealing with her third recurrence of metastatic melanoma. And unfortunately at that time, there were very few treatment options available. In fact, there were only 3 FDA-approved drugs to treat metastatic melanoma. So it was a very bleak time. And unfortunately, there wasn't the investment from the federal government in melanoma research either, because there were such poor outcomes. There were not a lot of researchers who wanted to go into the field at large. So a young woman by the name of Diana Ashby in a small town in Virginia decided to start fundraising and to support melanoma research. And that's exactly what she did. She founded the foundation, and in 1996, we gave out our first research grant. But as you can all attest to, melanoma research has advanced, and what we realized was that we not only need to fund research, but we need to educate and empower patients and caregivers and give them the information they need so that they can make the most informed decisions about their care. So the second part of our mission is education, and many of you picked up the education materials that were on the desk right out front. Those are all free. They're also available through our website where you can order them online and we'll ship them to you, where you can take them to community events or to your doctor's office for their waiting room or your children's school. But they're great resources and they create a lot of awareness about melanoma and melanoma prevention. And our footprint today is a national one. So although we're based in Washington, D.C., like I mentioned earlier, we are in communities all over the United States. And our advocates are doing their own work in communities as well. They're hosting their own community event, or they're speaking on a panel, or they're talking to their children's school about the use of sunscreen. So I just wanted to touch a little bit on our 3 pillars that I mentioned earlier. So our first is research. And I think there is so much need right now to highlight the importance of research and the need for patients to have more options. So to date, we have funded over $26 million in peer-reviewed research to academic institutions all over the United States. These have resulted in FDA-approved drugs, patents, additional grants and funding, and has really helped benefit patients directly. We also host scientific meetings, so while we're at a patient meeting, we do the same but for our scientific community on issues that are relevant for patients. So for example, we're doing our 4th workshop with the medical community on brain metastases this fall. Education, as I mentioned earlier, all of our materials are free. We also host webinars. Many of you may have attended a webinar in the past We have these on a variety of topics. We have a series called Ask the Expert, where you can learn about a specific topic with clinicians and researchers, as well as patients and caregivers. And we also have a lot of education on our rare subtypes, our uveal, acral, mucosal, pediatric melanoma. And again, this just kind of gives you a snapshot of some of our education materials. We have over 26 pieces of literature, and we're coming out with some new ones as well, which I'm really excited about. We have a 0 to 1 patient guide, a 2 to 3 patient guide, and 3 to 4 patient guide, all with supplemental caregiver guides. So we're going to be shipping these out very, very soon, and they're going to be a great resource for patients. Our animated melanoma patient videos, I'll just highlight for 1 second. So these are 6 to 8 minute animations that explain very complex topics in about a 6th grade reading level. So these are great for patient waiting rooms. They're wonderful for children's schools. They're just great for everyone to learn a little bit more about a specific topic. So there you can see we have understanding melanoma, treating melanoma, diagnosing melanoma, and then we go into very specific things like TIL therapy. Here's where you can find our educational videos. All of these are on our YouTube channel, so you don't have to go searching. They're all right there. If there's a specific topic, you can go right to YouTube and search. I mentioned our Ask the Expert series earlier. Again, we do these monthly on various topics. And our patient and community forum, I think this is a huge resource for patients. So this is on our website. It's a peer-to-peer patient forum. So people will write in and say, I'm having an adverse reaction to X. And someone will say, oh, I did too. You know, this is what my doctor told me. And it's just a way to connect with patients. I think it's a great resource. Patients find a lot of comfort in it as well. And many times they will bring things that they read on the forum back to their doctors. Our advocacy work, we also spend a lot of time on the Hill and talking to lawmakers about issues that impact the melanoma community on a federal level, but we also interact with lawmakers on the state level as well. We always have calls to action where we can mobilize our advocates to talk to their lawmakers on issues, and there's no shortage of issues these days, it seems, but one of the things that we're really fighting for is melanoma research through the Department of Defense. So we are very happy to report that the funding that we got through the Department of Defense, the $40 million, has been preserved for FY25. And a lot of that is thanks to the advocates who met with lawmakers and told them their stories about how research saved their lives, whether it was a clinical trial or it was a drug that was developed from a clinical trial. And that really does make a difference. So every March, we bring our advocates to Washington, D.C. to share with them the importance of funding research to benefit the melanoma community. I just want to highlight our prevention awareness campaigns. Again, we spend a lot of time educating the public about melanoma prevention. We have a campaign that's called #GetNaked, where we feature somebody who wants to share their story about how they found either a spot on their skin or how they do self-skin exams because they've been personally impacted by melanoma. So Raheem Mostert, who was the running back for the Miami Dolphins, he just recently left them, but his life was impacted by melanoma because his coach and mentor passed from the disease. So for him, it was very important that he gets the message out about checking your skin and advocating for sun safety. We also have campaigns for our uveal melanoma called I Get Dilated, as well as our pediatric melanoma and mucosal melanoma. We also have some very special programs, which I'll just briefly touch on, that I'm very excited because our Breakthrough Consortium UNC is now a part of. This is a think tank of the brightest minds in melanoma who come together to work on cross-academic center research projects to really accelerate cures for patients. So it's a really exciting initiative. And we're thrilled that UNC has now joined that think tank, and I think a lot of good will come out of it. We also have a focus in our rare subtypes, which I mentioned earlier, one of them being mucosal melanoma, which again is a very rare form of melanoma, but there's not a lot of research in the area, and there are very few options. So we brought together a group to help accelerate research in that area as well. And many of you may have picked this up, but we just have featured an ad in Cancer Today, which we're very excited about. Look for our ad. Again, it gives people access to free educational materials, which we feel is extremely important. So with that, I will turn the show back over, but I do want to make sure I let you know how you can tag us on social media. If you hear something great today that inspires you, share that out and pay it forward, because there's a lot of people who want to be in these seats learning about all the great things that are happening, and you can be a catalyst for that as well.